A man just moved into an apartment and heads to the receptionist to get his keys. The receptionist gave him the key with a smile, but warns him not to disturb the door with no number on his floor. He wondered why, but didn't bother to ask. He was too busy with his new apartment to care. After he finished unpacking, he began to get curious. He questioned why the receptionist would warn him of such things, and so he stepped out of his apartment to check the door with no number. He tried the doorknob first, but it was locked, so instead he got onto his knees and peeked through the keyhole. The apartment he was looking into was empty. His eyes scanned the whole place before stopping at a woman standing face against a wall in the corner. He noticed her pale skin and long black hair before stepping back, suddenly feeling perverted in a way for invading someone else's privacy. He brushed it off, assuming she was someone that did not want to be disturbed. The next day, he got more curious about the woman and eventually went back, straight away getting onto his knees. He peeked through the keyhole and saw all red. Red. He assumed that the pale woman must have caught him peeking the last time and covered the hole with something red. He left the door alone and instead went down to the receptionist to ask her questions. The receptionist sighed and asked, "You looked through the keyhole, didn't you?" He admitted to it, and so she felt obliged to tell him the story. She told him that a couple used to live in that apartment a long time ago, but the husband went crazy and killed his wife. However, this couple wasn't normal. They had pale skin, black hair, and red eyes. Wow, that was a very interesting story. I hope you're hooked like I am, guys. So let's break down some of the words and phrases that we heard in this mystery story. If you have a pen or paper or your phone, take notes and get ready. So let's start with the first phrase. He heads to the receptionist. So what do you think this means? Let me give you a hint. It has nothing to do with his physical head. So in casual English, when we say he heads, that means, in other words, he's going to. So in this case, he's going to the receptionist. Another example could be, I'm heading out to do my groceries, or I'm headed to the park now. Basically, it's a way to say that we're going towards something. The next part of the story, he says he questioned when the receptionist would warn him of such things. So he questioned. What does that mean? This one should be simple for you. You might already know what a question is. It's when you ask something. So questioned in this case is a verb, but he didn't actually ask the question out loud. In this case, he is basically wondering why the receptionist warned him, but he's wondering that in his mind, not out loud. Here are a few examples of where we can use this in conversations. I was really bored at the party, so I started questioning why I was here. So basically, the party was really boring, so I am asking myself in my head what I'm doing here. Okay, another example would be she just bought a new purse and she questioned why she didn't find a cheaper one. So maybe the purse was quite expensive. So she's asking inside herself, internally, why she couldn't have bought a cheaper one. Questioned can also be used literally. So we can ask someone a question. We can say, I questioned them. Or it can be, as we just explained, something that you ask in your head only. Okay, another little phrase in this story was, he stepped out. This is another common phrase that we use when we go outside of somewhere. So when the story said he stepped out, that means he physically went outside of the house. But it doesn't mean he stepped out just to stand there. We usually use this when we're actually going somewhere. Here are some examples in case you're a bit confused. I stepped out to do some groceries. My sister stepped out to put up the laundry. Hey, is John here? No, he stepped out. So yes, you can just say he or she stepped out without mentioning where he or she is going. All right, hope you all got that. The next part of the story, which I'm going to explain, he brushed it off. This one is not literal. He's not physically brushing anything off. It's more of a metaphor. So let me explain. It says in the story he was suddenly feeling perverted for invading someone's privacy. So he brushed the feeling off, meaning he got rid of that feeling. So how can we use this in some sentences? I felt anxious before my presentation at work, so I brushed it off and did it anyway. As you can see here, brushed it off refers to feelings and emotions. Now let's go through some of the words that were mentioned in this story. Let's break down some of their meanings and use some examples. Curious. That means wanting to know something. For example, the baby was curious about that noise. I am curious to know what you think. Disturbed. This means to be upset or worried about something. She looked disturbed after that scary movie. He was disturbed by the loud noise. Eventually. So this means after some time. In the end, we eventually found the hotel. Don't worry, eventually you'll get it. Obliged. Feeling like you must do something. I felt obliged to attend the meeting. He was obliged to help his friend. Pale. Having little to no color, often white. You look pale. Are you sick? She became pale when she heard the bad news. Peeked. Looked quickly or secretly. The boy peeked through the window. She peeked at her gift before opening it. Receptionist. A person that works on the front desk at a hotel. And this can also be at an office. So some examples might be the receptionist took my key when I checked out. Or I asked the receptionist for help. Next, scanned. Scanned means to look over something very quickly. For example, he scanned the list for a name. She scanned the menu before ordering. Okay, the last one, sighed. What does that mean? So to sigh means to let out a long breath, to show some emotion, like if you're tired or sad, or it can be even happy. So, would be an example of a sigh. She sighed with relief after the test. He sighed because he was bored. So, I hope you liked the story today, and I hope you also learned something new. If you enjoyed the video today, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed. My entire channel is dedicated to learning English and making it more fun. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, that's all for today. See you next time, guys.